Fox, we like to keep it fair and balanced, and now we're going to hear from the other side. Lanny Davis is a former White House special counsel, founder of Trident DMG, who also supports Hillary Clinton. Lanny, it's nice to see you midday here on the Fox News
Thanks
channel.
for having me.
So I was asking Sarah about this key voter, specifically in the state of North Carolina, but we can extrapolate that out to other battleground states. It's the professional woman, white woman, living in the suburbs, educated, who has seemed to poll more in favor of Hillary Clinton. That was the Trump team's response, saying that they think they have made some inroads with that voter. What do you think?
Well, first of all, the data is showing that women are favoring Hillary Clinton, not just because she's a woman. In fact, that seems to be less important than that she is more qualified to be president and that she's more trustworthy with her finger on the nuclear button. Donald Trump, and I don't want to be partisan today, I certainly respect somebody who says they prefer Donald Trump, is simply no record of public service and no record of working with others who differ with him. And so Hillary Clinton's record with friends in the U.S. Senate who are Republican, I think will be a more bipartisan president once the dust settles and we get over all the nastiness of this campaign.
Why do you think people should believe that? Because that's what Hillary Clinton wrote about today in an article in USA Today. This has been such a divisive campaign season with attacks from both sides. Why should voters believe she will be able to govern and reach across the aisle?
So I never ask people, as much as I believe in myself, to believe me. I always say, just look at the facts and make your own decision based on facts that you can verify, not facts that you read on the internet. So here's a fact you can verify. When she was a U.S. Senator, conservative Republican Lindsey Graham of South Carolina sang her praises for bipartisan work on the Armed Services Committee, where the both of them produced legislation to provide health care for people in the armed services. Senator John McCain, a conservative senator from Arizona, described Hillary Clinton as the favorite Democratic senator of Republican senators. Why? Because you could work with her, because she was fact and solution focused. So that's her record. That's a record that she can point to that's factual. It's not asking anyone to believe her promises. That's the difference with Donald Trump. With no record, indeed, if I were partisan, I would say a record that's been pretty nasty in the words he uses about women. Even when he was on tape and he says he didn't mean it, they were still words that were pretty nasty. He has a problem, absent the experience, to persuade people that he actually can work with Democrats.
Okay, let me talk to you a little bit. I know you don't want to be partisan, so let me just talk a little bit about Democrat strategy. I don't need you to talk about the other side. Let me just talk a little bit about Democrat strategy. We had Capri Cafaro on our show during the first hour of Happening Now, and she was expressing some concern. She's a Democrat, about the turnout of African-American voters, specifically in North Carolina. I want to go ahead and play that sound.
North Carolina, the big issue there is, potentially depressed African-American turnout. There have been efforts on behalf of the state legislature down there to curtail early voting and reduce some of the early voting polling locations. So I think that may have a potentially detrimental impact for Democrats there, not only the presidential race, but the United States Senate race as well. So North Carolina, I believe, is going to be the #1 state to watch tomorrow evening, because I think it's going to be the most volatile. I think it's going to be the Florida of 2016.
You talk to some Democrats, Lanny, and they say, oh, no, that's okay. Voter turnout is just fine. But then you do have Hillary Clinton doing a midnight rally in Raleigh, in North Carolina. So one wonders, what is the reality? What's the real situation when it comes to that particular voting bloc?
Well, there's no doubt a court of appeals and the federal court has said that the Republican legislature in North Carolina targeted in a very specific laser beam way African-American precincts, changing locations and trying to suppress the vote. And I think that's the concern. But the numbers actually don't reflect that. The pre-voting numbers now, despite all the difficulties and impediments deliberately put in place to make it more difficult, they're just about at the percentage level of the first African-American president, Barack Obama. So she's doing okay and will do much better because of our ground game.
So you don't think it has anything to do with her as a candidate? You think it's just the Republicans that have prevented the voting bloc from turning out?
No, it's not entirely the Republicans. That's just a fact the Court of Appeals pointed out. She's a white woman, and the first African-American president is probably going to get a bigger turnout among African-Americans. That's just a simple fact. But given that fact, Barack Obama is campaigning for her. He's revving up members of the African-American community, the Latino community, and lots of other supporters. Barack Obama has an approval rating that is the highest for a second-term president.
You know, it was interesting.
So he's helping.
Just perspective for our viewers, the reason why we're asking this question is still in the state of North Carolina, Barack Obama won by just under a percentage point. And Mitt Romney, still with good voter turnout, won just by 2 percentage points in North Carolina. So it is the definition of a swing state, and that is why the voting block is something that we're looking at so particularly today. Lanny, great to have your perspective, as always, and we look forward to having you back. Thank you.